Data is a powerful tool. In the fall of 2016, I joined the Concord Academy Big Data Club as a way to meet new people. I liked the people, but I loved the data. My passion for data motivated me to see what data could do to improve my life. My first project was using data to optimize my drive to school. The reality is that I only live 2 miles from my high school, but the driving time can vary widely, from 6 minutes to more than 20. I need a lot of sleep, and I hate being late. So deciding what time to leave the house was really challenging. I convinced my sister to record the time we left for and arrived at school on her phone every morning in exchange for my driving services. Armed with 2 months of driving data, I created a spreadsheet and calculated our total commute time and the difference between 8 a.m. and when we actually left the house. Using the spreadsheet software, I created some basic graphs. I looked at the impact that the day of the week had on our total commute time. I compared departure time to total commute time. And of course, I looked at the total commute time over the months that we had recorded. It looks pretty erratic. But when you look at it based on the day of the week, you'll see that our longest average commute was on Tuesdays, even though we left 2 minutes early on average. And our commute time on Friday was half as long. Who isn't driving on Fridays? I also identified an exponential relationship between leaving later and total travel time. This means that for every minute later we leave, we add more than a minute to our total travel time. All of these insights help me today. My sister knows she can negotiate an extra 5 to 10 minutes on a Friday, but if she asks on a Tuesday, the answer is a definitive no. So how can you use data to solve problems on your own? There are 3 steps in every data project: data collection, data analysis, and value creation. Let's put these in context. Over the summer, I was having a hard time falling asleep at night, and I wanted to figure out how I could fall asleep faster. I had heard that the ideal temperature for sleeping is 65 degrees. Since my bedroom doesn't have air conditioning, I thought maybe temperature was the problem. The first step of my project was data collection. I recorded the time I finished working, the time I got in bed, and the time I woke up every morning. I also recorded the temperature and humidity of the room. This I got from an indoor thermometer I bought on Amazon for $10. And of course, I also used my Fitbit to capture the time I actually fell asleep. Next was data analysis. Again, I used a spreadsheet and calculated the difference between the time I got in bed and the time I fell asleep. Then I compared this difference to my other variables, looking for correlations. The data indicated that the faster I fell asleep, the longer I stayed asleep. This confirmed that falling asleep faster was a good thing. Was the time to fall asleep faster if I exercised, if the room was cooler, or if I finished working earlier? I found a correlation between finishing work earlier and falling asleep faster. Next comes value creation. This is the most important step. This is where you figure out what to do with your new insights. Using the correlation between finishing work earlier and falling asleep faster, I learned that I need buffer time between finishing homework and getting in bed. Nowadays, I'm sleeping great, even without air conditioning. Different data projects require different skills. For my sleeping project, I needed to know how to make and read graphs, interpret trend lines, and utilize spreadsheet software. As the data projects get more complicated, so do the skills required. Here's a more complex example. I'm going to be talking about school gun violence. Students across the country are looking for solutions. The Concord Academy Big Data Club wanted to help the cause using data. Given the slow pace of legislative progress, we wanted to see how schools can take the safety of their students into their own hands. To begin, we brainstormed factors that could contribute to school gun violence. Next, we scoured the internet looking for public data. Ultimately, we used these 6 sources because they had data regarding our variables. The best data set we used was US mass shootings from Kaggle.com because it had information regarding a shooter's mental health background. And this grounded our project around mental health. The next phase of our project was data analysis. We downloaded the data and compared gun violence to income, the number of regulatory state gun laws, and the mental health ranking of the state, which we got from Mental Health America and is based on 15 factors, including the number of individuals with mental illness in the state and their access to resources. During this phase, we honed new skills. Our faculty advisor, a statistics teacher, taught us about the use of p-values and r-squared, which indicate the significance of a correlation. We also learned that a data visualization tool called Tableau offers free licenses to students. So we downloaded it and used Tableau to make our visualizations. Of course, then we needed to learn how to interpret these visualizations and how to communicate our findings to others. Ultimately, our key insights from analysis included a relationship between mental illness and increased incidence of school gun violence, and a relationship between more regulatory state gun laws and decreased incidence of school gun violence. Finally, we came to the value creation phase. We needed to figure out how a school could utilize our insights. Our club came up with the 3 E's: educate, establish, and evolve. First, schools need to educate their communities on the relationship between mental health and school gun violence. For example, schools could host assemblies educating their community and encouraging students to seek help. Second, schools need to establish mental health resources and support systems for students and staff. For example, schools could create an advising program or hire a therapist. And third, schools need to evolve new practices and empathetic attitudes regarding mental health. It is critical that we reduce the stigma surrounding mental health so that students can seek help. Data is a powerful way to make a personal or even social impact for anyone, not just a member of a big data club. You don't always need complicated technology. Here we have written data and simple graphs. You don't always need complicated math. We used averages and differences. And there are so many resources available to help you along the way. A quick Google search for free data analytics resources returns 737 million results. So, of course, data gets more complicated as the projects get more complex, but the challenge is what makes data so much fun. Remember, a data project is simply data collection, data analysis, and value creation. So, from commuting to sleeping to gun violence, when you're faced with a problem, consider using data to find a solution. 3 years ago, I joined the Big Data Club as a way to meet new people, and it's given me the world. Thank you.